The Siege of Nova Prime. The red alert klaxon screamed through the corridors of Nova Prime Station as another barrage of enemy fire shook the colony's reinforced walls. Commander Sarah Chen gripped the edge of the tactical console, her knuckles white, as she watched the defensive shields flicker dangerously on the display. Shield strength down to 32%, reported Lieutenant James Park, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. The young officer had aged years in the past 3 weeks since the Zephyrian Empire began their siege. Another hit like that, and we'll have hull breaches in sectors 4 through 7. Sarah nodded grimly. Nova Prime had been humanity's proudest achievement. Their first deep space colony, established 12 light-years from Earth on a planet rich with resources and promise. Now it stood on the brink of annihilation, surrounded by an alien fleet that had arrived without warning or provocation. How many civilian transports made it to the underground bunkers? Sarah asked, turning to her security chief. All but 2, Commander. Captain Maria Vasquez replied, checking her datavat. We've got approximately 8,000 colonists secured in the deep shelters. Food and water supplies should last another month if we maintain strict rationing. The command center shuddered again as another plasma blast found its mark. Sparks flew from an overloaded console, and the acrid smell of burnt electronics filled the air. Sarah's team worked with practiced efficiency, redirecting power from non-essential systems to maintain their failing shields. Any response from Earth on the quantum communicator? Sarah asked Communications Officer David Kim, though she already knew the answer. David shook his head, frustration evident in his features. Nothing, Commander. The Zephyrians are jamming all our long-range transmissions. I've been sending our distress signal on every frequency, but there's no way to know if it's getting through. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of responsibility for every life on Nova Prime. Earth was 6 months away by conventional FTL drive, too far to send help even if their messages somehow broke through the interference. They were alone, facing an enemy that seemed determined to wipe out humanity's first steps into the greater galaxy. Commander, incoming transmission from the Zephyrian flagship, David announced, his fingers flying over his console. They're requesting visual communication. Put it through, Sarah ordered, straightening her uniform. She wouldn't show weakness, not now. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the elongated features of Supreme Commander Vextor of the Zephyrian Empire. His species resembled massive mantis-like creatures, with compound eyes that reflected the light in unsettling patterns. When he spoke, his translator rendered his clicking mandibles into cold, precise English. Human Commander, Vextor began, his head tilting at an unnatural angle. Your resistance has been admirable. But surely you must see the futility of your position. Your shields fail. Your weapons run low on power. Your homeworld cannot possibly send aid in time. Sarah met his gaze without flinching. Humanity doesn't surrender, Vextor. We'll fight to the last breath if necessary. The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Such primitive stubbornness. We offer you one final chance. Surrender Nova Prime to the Zephyrian Empire, and we will allow your colonists to return to Earth unharmed. Refuse, and we will reduce your settlement to atoms. You want our planet for its resources, Sarah stated. It wasn't a question. Intelligence reports had suggested the Zephyrians were expanding their empire aggressively, consuming worlds to fuel their growth. Your world contains deposits of trilithium crystals essential to our technology. Vextor confirmed. The presence of your species is inconvenient, but we are not without mercy. You have 6 of your hours to decide. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the command center in tense silence. Sarah turned to face her senior staff, reading the determination in their eyes despite the hopelessness of their situation. Options, she asked simply. Captain Vasquez spoke first. We could attempt to evacuate using the remaining shuttles, but they'd pick us off before we cleared the atmosphere. What about the colony's self-destruct system? Suggested Park. If we can't have Nova Prime, neither should they. Sarah considered this. The nuclear charges embedded in the colony's foundation could indeed deny the Zephyrians their prize, but at the cost of everything they'd built here. More importantly, it would mean abandoning any hope of rescue or survival. "Continue broadcasting our distress signal," she ordered David. "Route all available power to shields and point defense systems. If they want Nova Prime, they'll have to take it." Hours passed in tense preparation. The colonists, scientists, engineers, families who had traveled across the stars for a new beginning, huddled in reinforced bunkers deep beneath the surface. Above them, the skeleton crew remaining in the command center worked tirelessly to maintain their failing defenses. Sarah stood before the main view screen, watching the Zephyrian fleet arrayed against them. 60 warships, each bristling with weapons that outclassed anything humanity had developed. It seemed impossible that Earth, still taking its first tentative steps into the galaxy, could stand against such power. "Commander," David's voice cut through her thoughts, excitement creeping into his tone. "I'm picking up something on long-range sensors. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace at the system's edge." Sarah's heart leaped. "Earth reinforcements." David's fingers danced over his console, his eyes widening. "Unknown, Commander. But whatever they are, there are a lot of them. I'm counting. This can't be right. Over 200 vessels." The command center fell silent. 200 ships. Earth's entire fleet consisted of barely 50 vessels, and most of those were converted cargo haulers or system patrol boats. Sarah moved to the sensor station, studying the readings herself. "The energy signatures don't match any known Zephyrian configurations," Park reported, his voice barely above a whisper. "They're broadcasting Earth identification codes." Before Sarah could process this impossibility, the main view screen crackled to life. A human face appeared, weathered, determined, with steel-gray eyes that spoke of unwavering resolve. The uniform bore the insignia of Earth Fleet Command, but with additional markings Sarah didn't recognize. "Nova Prime, this is Admiral Marcus Torres commanding the Earth Expeditionary Armada," the man announced, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "We've received your distress signal. Help has arrived." Sarah stared at the screen in disbelief. "Admiral, this is Commander Chen. How is this possible? Earth couldn't have assembled a fleet this size, let alone gotten here so quickly." A ghost of a smile crossed Torres's face. "Earth has not been idle, Commander. We've been preparing for this day since first contact with the Galactic Council 5 years ago. What you see before you represents humanity's true military capability. Ships constructed in secret facilities throughout the solar system, equipped with technology that would surprise even our enemies." The tactical display updated, showing the Earth fleet emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. Sleek destroyers, massive battlecruisers, carriers launching swarms of fighter craft. It was a sight that defied everything Sarah thought she knew about Earth's capabilities. "The Zephyrians are responding," Park reported. "They're redeploying their fleet to face the new threat." Admiral Torres's expression hardened. "Let them come. They wanted to test humanity's resolve. They're about to learn why that was a mistake." Through the view screen, Sarah watched as the two fleets maneuvered for position. The Zephyrian ships, moments ago seeming invincible, now appeared outmatched by the sheer number of Earth vessels. But more than that, there was something different about these ships. They moved with a precision and confidence that spoke of advanced technology and careful preparation. "Commander Chen," Torres continued, "maintain your defensive position. We'll handle the Zephyrian fleet. Once we've secured orbital control, we'll deploy ground reinforcements to Nova Prime." Sarah felt tears of relief threatening to spill. After weeks of desperate struggle, of watching friends die and hope dwindle, salvation had arrived in a form she could never have imagined. But questions raced through her mind. How had Earth developed such a fleet in secret? What other surprises did humanity's leadership have in store? "Admiral," she managed, her voice thick with emotion, "the Zephyrians demanded our surrender. They gave us 6 hours to decide. Taurus's smile was cold and predatory. Then they have approximately 5 hours and 55 minutes to regret that ultimatum. The channel remained open as the Earth fleet accelerated toward the Zephyrian formation. Sarah and her staff watched in awe as humanity's hidden might revealed itself to the galaxy for the first time. Whatever happened next would change everything, not just for Nova Prime, but for humanity's place among the stars. The arrival of the Armada. Admiral Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the EFS Retribution, humanity's first true battleship, as his fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. The sight of Nova Prime, battered but still standing, filled him with both pride and rage. The Zephyrians had made a critical error in attacking humanity's children among the stars. All ships, report readiness, Torres commanded, his voice carrying across the fleet-wide communication channel. Carrier Prometheus, fighter wings deployed and ready, came the first response. Battlecruiser Thunderchild, weapons charge, and targeting solutions locked. Destroyer Squadron Alpha, in position for attack run. One by one, over 200 vessels confirmed their status. Torres allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. 5 years of secret construction, of siphoning resources from public space programs into black projects, of recruiting the best minds Earth had to offer, all for this moment. "Sir, the Zephyrian commander is hailing us," reported Communications Officer Lisa Zhang. "Put him through," Torres ordered, settling into his command chair. Supreme Commander Vextor appeared on the main screen, his compound eyes glittering with what Torres recognized as surprise and confusion. "Unknown vessels, you broadcast Earth identification codes, yet this is impossible. Earth's fleet consists of no more than 50 primitive vessels." Torres smiled coldly. "Supreme Commander Vextor, I am Admiral Marcus Torres of the Earth Expeditionary Armada. What you believed about our capabilities was carefully cultivated misinformation. Humanity learned long ago that in a dangerous universe, it pays to appear weaker than you are." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation, according to intelligence reports. "Trickery and deception. Typical of primitive species, your numbers mean nothing against Zephyrian technology." "We'll see about that," Torres replied. He cut the transmission and turned to his tactical officer. "Commander Walsh, initiate Operation Hammerfall." The space around Nova Prime erupted into chaos as both fleets engage. Zephyrian vessels, confident in their technological superiority, charged forward in their traditional wedge formation. They were met by a wall of coordinated fire from Earth's ships, whose weapons were far more advanced than anything the aliens had expected. "Sir, the Zephyrians are taking heavy damage," Walsh reported. "Their shields aren't calibrated for our quantum torpedoes." Torres nodded. Quantum weaponry was one of Earth's most closely guarded secrets, developed from theoretical physics that humanity's scientists had cracked years ahead of most galactic powers. The torpedoes phased through conventional shields, delivering devastating antimatter payloads directly to enemy hulls. On the tactical display, Torres watched as 3 Zephyrian cruisers exploded in brilliant flashes of light, but the enemy was far from beaten. Their return fire was disciplined and deadly, focusing on what they perceived as the weakest Earth vessels. "The destroyer Courage is taking heavy fire," Walsh announced. "Hull breaches on multiple decks. Order them to fall back," Torres commanded. "Have the Thunderchild move up to provide cover." The battle raged for nearly an hour, neither side gaining a decisive advantage. The Zephyrians fought with the confidence of a species that had conquered dozens of worlds, while Earth's forces displayed the desperate innovation of erased fighting for its very survival among the stars. Then Torres played his ace. "Signal the Shadow Wing," he ordered. "Execute Phase 2. From the gas giant at the system's edge, another force emerged, 50 stealth ships that had been lying in wait since before the main fleet's arrival. These vessels, equipped with the most advanced cloaking technology Earth had developed, had positioned themselves perfectly for this moment. The Zephyrian fleet, focused entirely on the main Earth force, never saw them coming. Quantum torpedoes and railgun fire slammed into their rear formations, causing chaos and confusion. Ships turned to face the new threat, only to expose their flanks to the main fleet. "Their formation is collapsing," Walsh reported with satisfaction. Multiple enemy vessels requesting emergency assistance. But Taurus wasn't finished. "Launch all fighters. Signal the marine transports to begin their approach to Nova Prime." From the carriers Prometheus, Intrepid, and Defiant, hundreds of fighter craft swarmed into space. Unlike the bulky atmospheric fighters Earth had displayed publicly, these were sleek interceptors designed specifically for space combat. They dove into the Zephyrian formations like schools of predatory fish, targeting weapon systems and engines with surgical precision. On Nova Prime, Commander Chen watched the battle with growing amazement. The Earth fleet fought with coordination and technology that surpassed anything she had imagined possible. But her attention was drawn to a new development: assault shuttles breaking away from the larger ships and diving toward the planet's surface. "Commander, we're being hailed by the Marine Force Commander," David Kim announced. The screen showed a scared face beneath a combat helmet, Colonel Emma Rodriguez of the Earth Marines. "Commander Chen, this is Colonel Rodriguez. We're about to deploy 10,000 Marines to reinforce your position. Where do you need us most?" Sarah could barely contain her relief. "Colonel, we have Zephyrian ground forces massing near the spaceport and the main reactor complex, if they take either position." "Understood," Rodriguez cut in. "We'll hit them hard and fast. Your people have held the line long enough. Time for us to take over." The assault shuttles screamed through Nova Prime's atmosphere, their heat shields glowing as they executed violent evasive maneuvers to avoid ground-based fire. As they approached the surface, their cargo bays opened, and armored Marines began dropping in powered combat suits that allowed them to survive the fall from altitude. Sarah watched through external cameras as the Earth Marines landed among the Zephyrian ground forces like avenging angels. Their powered armor made them faster and stronger than the insectoid warriors, while their weapons, plasma rifles, and Gauss cannons, cut through enemy positions with ruthless efficiency. In space, the tide had turned decisively. The Zephyrian fleet, caught between the main Earth force and the Shadow Wing, was being systematically destroyed. Ships that tried to retreat found their hyperspace drives mysteriously failing. Another Earth innovation, as Torres had deployed interdiction fields that prevented FTL travel within the battle zone. "Admiral," John reported, "we're receiving a priority message from the Zephyrian flagship. It's Vextor again." Torres straightened in his chair. "Put him through." The alien commander appeared on screen, his compound eyes now dim with defeat. Several of his bridge stations sparked and smoked in the background, and Torres could see green blood, Zephyrian blood, on the deck plating. "Admiral Torres," Vextor said, his translated voice weak but clear. I request terms for surrender." Torres leaned forward. "Unconditional surrender. Supreme Commander. Your ships will power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your ground forces will lay down their arms immediately. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force." "And what of my people?" Vextor asked. "Will you slaughter us as we intended for your colonists?" "Humanity is not the Zephyrian Empire," Torres replied. "Surrender, and you'll be treated according to the Geneva Conventions as adapted for interstellar warfare. Refuse, and I'll reduce your fleet to cosmic dust." There was a long pause. Then Vextor's mandibles sagged in what Torres recognized as a gesture of submission. "We accept your terms." The bridge of the Retribution erupted in cheers, but Torres silenced them with a raised hand. They had won, but the implications of this victory were just beginning to sink in. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as prey, but as a predator to be respected and feared. "Signal all ships," Torres ordered. "Ceasefire, but maintain targeting locks. Deploy boarding parties to secure the Zephyrian vessels." He turned to Zhang. "Open a channel to Earth Command. They need to know what we've accomplished here." On Nova Prime's surface, The battle was also winding down. Colonel Rodriguez's Marines had routed the Zephyrian ground forces in less than an hour of intense fighting. Powered armor and superior tactics had proven more than a match for the alien warriors, who were used to overwhelming primitive species through sheer intimidation. In the command center, Sarah Chen slumped in her chair as the reality of their salvation sank in. Nova Prime would survive. The colonists who had trusted in Earth's protection had not been abandoned. But questions raced through her mind about the fleet that had saved them. Her contemplation was interrupted by a communication request. Admiral Torres himself appeared on her screen, his expression now showing the fatigue of battle command. "Commander Chen," he began, "I'm sorry we couldn't arrive sooner. Your defense of Nova Prime will go down in history as one of humanity's greatest stands against aggression." "Admiral," Sarah replied, her voice hoarse with emotion. How did Earth build such a fleet without anyone knowing?" Torres's expression became thoughtful. "When we made first contact with the Galactic Council 5 years ago, we quickly realized that the universe was far more dangerous than we had hoped. While our diplomats smiled and talked of peace, our military leaders prepared for war. We studied every scrap of alien technology we could acquire, recruited our brightest minds, and built in secret the Zephyrians, all the galactic powers. They thought we were helpless newcomers," Sarah said, understanding beginning to dawn. "Exactly," Torres confirmed. "We let them believe that. We showed them obsolete ships and outdated weapons, while our real fleet trained in hidden facilities throughout the solar system. The attack on Nova Prime forced us to reveal our hand earlier than planned, but perhaps that's for the best." Through the command center's windows, Sarah could see Earth Marines escorting captured Zephyrian warriors to temporary holding areas. The insectoid aliens moved with the dejected posture of total defeat, their earlier arrogance completely shattered. "What happens now?" she asked. Torres' expression hardened with determination. "Now we send a message to the rest of the galaxy. Earth protects its own, no matter how far from home they may be. Any species that threatens human colonies or interests will face the full might of our true fleet." As the Admiral signed off to coordinate the massive task of securing the star system, Sarah stood and walked to the windows overlooking Nova Prime. The colony's shields were down now, no longer needed. In the sky above, Earth warships patrolled in formation, their presence a promise of protection that would never again be doubted. The siege of Nova Prime had ended not with humanity's destruction, but with its ascension to the ranks of galactic powers. The Zephyrians had believed humans were weak, isolated, and ripe for conquest. They had learned, at tremendous cost, that humanity had been preparing for this moment all along. In the years that followed, the Battle of Nova Prime would be remembered as the moment humanity shed its disguise of weakness and revealed the steel beneath. The Galactic Council, which had largely ignored Earth's complaints about aggressive species, suddenly found human ambassadors speaking with the backing of real military power. Other colonies were established, each protected by the ever-growing Earth fleet. Some species approached humanity with offers of alliance and trade, recognizing that cooperation was preferable to conflict with this surprisingly formidable race. Others, like the Zephyrians, learned through defeat that human worlds were no longer easy targets. Commander Sarah Chen received promotion to Admiral in command of Nova Prime's newly expanded defense fleet. Colonel Rodriguez's Marines became the stuff of legend, their powered armor assault against superior numbers, studied in military academies across human space. And Admiral Torres, the architect of humanity's hidden fleet, became the first Grand Admiral of the United Earth Star Navy. The message was clear to all who would hear it. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and we were here to stay. Those who came as friends would find warm welcome and mutual benefit. Those who came as conquerors would find only destruction. Earth's children among the stars would never stand alone again.